I guess I never really thought to do it. I just assumed soap would get in there. Throughout my life, I never liked sticking my finger in it because I would feel these weird crusty masses. When I was younger, I always assumed they were left over from my umbilical cord. Pretty dumb, right? Well, today it came up in conversation and my mom demanded I go take a shower and clean it out. After 5 minutes of light and uncomfortable scrubbing, I wasn't getting anywhere. I literally had to use tweezers to pull out black crusty masses from inside my belly button that have been there for 15 years. It was disgusting. There were many of them that wouldn't come out easily. I had to start pulling, which hurt. To this day, I don't really know exactly what they were. They didn't seem like dirt. Today, I can happily share that my belly button is currently clean and healthy. DL, doctor, I didn't wash my belly button for 15 years, and had to pluck out black crusty pieces with tweezers. Yesterday evening I was taking a drive through a mountainous area near Colorado Springs when there was a woman stopping a car in front of me. The car took off and the woman approached me. I rolled down my window to see what her deal was and she asked if she could get a ride down to the bottom of the mountain where her friend's tire was getting changed. Me, being too nice, said hop in. As soon as she gets in the car the smell of hard liquor filled the air. She starts nervously asking me questions and being extremely fidgety. I ask her where her friends are and she says just keep saying I'm not really sure. It's at this point I realized I flipped up. I ask if there is anywhere I can take her and she says a supermarket. She then asks if I have a girlfriend, which I reply yes. She then proceeds to try and hold my free hand. I tell her I am not okay with that, and then she asks if she can touch my leg. I pull over and tell her to cut it out or she can walk to the supermarket. She stopped and I dropped her off at the nearest gas station. She had money tucked in her waistline. I had no idea people take hookers up the mountains, but I guess it makes sense. DLDR, I tried to do a favor for a woman by giving her a ride down a mountain. She tried to hold my hand and grab my leg. There's hookers in the mountains. I was outside with the little girl I babysit and we were waiting for the dog to do her business. I was distracted because the fence isn't perfect, so I had to keep an eye on the dog in case it decided to make an escape. While we were waiting, the girl told me the sweetest thing I'd ever heard. She told me she figured out that the Easter bunny wasn't real, but she was going to keep pretending because she didn't want to ruin Easter for her older brother. I asked her how she figured it out and she told me she saw the Easter gifts and eggs in the house before Easter morning and she confronted her mother about it. I was half paying attention because of the dog and I replied, yeah, I figured out the Easter bunny wasn't real before Santa too. Next thing I heard was Santa's not real? OMG, it broke my heart. I apologized to her immediately and asked her if she wanted to talk about it. I'm guessing she took it okay because she seemed fine the rest of the day. DL, doctor, little girl told me she knew the Easter bunny wasn't real and I replied yeah, I figured out the Easter bunny wasn't real before Santa too. So work at insert giant corporation name here and I'm relatively new. I was working self-checkout lane and this lady, L, skips the line and approaches me. L, can you check me out for this wine real quick? My husband is going to the hospital right now, and I need to check out quickly. Me, no, but you can go after this gentleman right here. She patiently waits and all is well, until L, this wine range up 5.99 but the sign said 4.99. Me, okay, let me call my manager, M, because I don't know how to change the price. I call my manager who says it's illegal to change the price on alcohol. Again, I'm new and definitely did not know this. The manager says she will come and help sort out the problem. I walk over to the lady. Me, okay, my manager is coming. L, let me just cancel the transaction and it will fix it. Me, no, that's not how. L, I pressed cancel, now cancel it and I'll ring it up again. Me, okay. I cancel the order and my manager comes over to check the wine and ask about the situation. M, hi, can I see the wine to go check the price? Manager proceeds to look at the wine and leaves to find it. L, well, why don't you just have a list to check it right now? Me, that's not how this store works, we just check the item then call someone to go check the price. L, I should have just got it before I left. I drove 3 hours and I want this wine and my husband's in the hospital waiting, I don't have all day. My store is better. The lady continues to huff and puff over again about a $1 difference until my manager returns. M, okay, so the sign does say 4.99 but it's just a problem with the L, well, can't you just change the price? M, no, It's a problem with the system and it's illegal to change the price of alcohol anywhere. L. Well, that's just lying now. Why would you put that sign out then? Why is it running up like this? M. Yes, it is a mistake, and it's just a problem with the system, but we can't change the price. L. Well, get me someone who can change the price. M. Nobody in the store can do it. L. I want to talk to a manager. M. I am the manager. L. I don't want it anymore. Just keep it. I'm never coming back, or my store is better. I should have just bought it there before I left. M. Okay, have a good day. Me. Thanks, M. M. No problem, I get paid to get yelled at. TLDR, lady gets huffy because her husband is in the hospital and doesn't want to pay $1 extra for wine she so desperately needs, ends up wasting everyone's time. As a closing manager at a major retailer, we always got the most interesting crowd late in the night. Mostly it was customer servicing shoplifters and helping people too high for their own good find things that were clearly signed. The calls I dreaded the most were to the bathrooms, as that generally meant there was a mess that required hazmat certification, so my next 15 to 30 minutes would be spent double-gloved and trying not to breathe too deeply. One of these fateful calls came through about half an hour before closing time, and doing my best to calm a reflexive eye twitch due to what I feared it was about to behold, I instead found my safety-vested coworker trying, mostly successfully, to suppress laughter outside the bathrooms. And then I heard it. /thud 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 /. A steady drumbeat spaced 3 seconds apart, and it's coming from the men's bathroom. I opened the door to see not a Jumanji game but the rear of a mobility scooter backing up out of the stall, then zipping forward with too large a turn radius and hitting the wall with a thud, then backing up just to repeat the attempt. A bottle of wine was broken on the floor, but the man, shirt unbuttoned and sweaty stomach hanging out, was still firmly in his seat, repeatedly failing to make his turn but determined to try. Over and over. He was utterly unresponsive to any attempts at communication and reeked of cheap alcohol, and we had to close the store soon, so police and EMTs were called in. To ensure he didn't hurt himself on that glass or cause further damage, I had to stay nearby, and in the few minutes it took for them to arrive, all I heard was /thud /thud /. But at least it meant he was still in his chair, and wasn't getting cut on the glass. While waiting, I was informed he had been swigging from a plastic pint and driving around the store, nearly hitting shoppers and displays, until he made his way to that bathroom stall. When the cops showed up he was still unresponsive and undeterred, so they quickly searched him, finding receipts, ID, cash in a wallet, plus one empty and one half-empty bottle labeled with Naval Commanders, the discovery of which caused no reaction from the subject. They did find a quarter-pounder, still in wrapper, tucked somewhere around his waist, and his first sign of any real awareness of the situation was to howl and demand it back. After this brief moment of semi-lucidity he settled back into barely audible grunts. It took 6 cops and paramedics to lift him out of and then reorient the scooter so they could get him out of the bathroom and take him to the waiting ambulance for evaluation. American company headquartered in Ireland. We didn't have any American people working for us in the main call center. Anyone who asked to be transferred to an American speaker was in fact transferred to a Canadian who would pretend to be from Seattle. 99% of the time I didn't mind because I realized most of us had accents relative to our customers, but it always felt like a small victory when faced with blatant racism. In fact, it only happened to me twice in a year. Usually I'd take it slow if they had trouble understanding and the customers were very patient and cool. So I've seen a couple posts in some other groups for guards claiming Raid bug spray is better to use than ox spray or pepper spray. This is entirely false. First off, it is a violation of federal law to use this product in a manner inconsistent with its labeling as present on almost all if not every single can. Secondly, pepper and ox spray is an inflammatory agent whereas bug spray is a nerve agent. You know, like the weapons Geneva is against lol. The final reason these bogus claims state is that it has better range. Also false as bug sprays get wider with distance, so there is a greater chance of you using a chemical weapon against a bystander. Inform yourself, don't be lazy and cheap, and always stay safe. Love you all. I have had a really hard time finding much information about this. Just wondering if anyone knows more about it. This is the text from the article. Still, Joseph Finley claims this is what happened. As a result of remodeling in a packed house for the America's Got Talent auditions, security was allegedly lax or disorganized, and someone, possibly a transient, Got into the hotel and fatally beat and robbed his wife after she was locked out of their room. Joseph Finley's suit claims that, on top of all that, hotel staff downplayed his wife's death. The suit claims hotel workers told cops there was no sign of foul play after Laura Finley's dead body was found at the bottom of a stairwell October 23. It was believed she somehow fell 6 stories before her demise. The suit states she was found nude from the waist up, with her pants on inside out, and her rings missing. The case quotes an autopsy report as giving these details about Laura Finley, including multiple blunt force injuries that include a 1.1-inch laceration on the top of her head and a 3.5-inch laceration on the side of her head. The suit also mentions possible defensive wounds on her body. It claims she was killed by a transient or outsider who got in via an unlocked door from the street. Interestingly, Joseph Finley was reportedly arrested that day for possessing ecstasy, a drug he told TMZ he and his wife had taken that night. Family members deny this. Damages will be sought against the Biltmore for wrongful death and negligence. So this happened a few hours ago. I was taking a call from a lady who was having issues connecting to the company's VPN. This is the IT service desk. Lady, hi, I'm having trouble connecting to the VPN. It's not accepting my password. Okay, I'll check on that and see why it's not accepting your password. It was at time that we suddenly got flooded with calls from people. I thought that maybe something had just broken. I also usually mute my phone so I don't have to talk to them while I'm working, but this time I forgot to. What is going on here? I was slightly freaked out at the time about seeing our lines being flooded. The lady on the phone heard me. Lady, I have no idea. That's why I called you. I had to explain to the lady that I was looking at an unrelated issue. It was an awkward moment. I work at a fast food place that just got a screen in our drive-thru which allows the customers to see what we have put into our registers. The very day this became operational, I had my first taste of malicious compliance. A man comes into our drive-thru and gives his order. I think it was a number 4, which usually costs $7.31 after tax. However, he says he doesn't want the drink. So I tap in a cheeseburger and fries, and tell him his total, which is around $6.50. He says he wants the meal, he just doesn't want a drink. He specifically wants the meal discount. I tell him right now I'm only charging him for a burger and fries, which is less expensive than a number 4 meal, even with the discount. He's not convinced, and demands I put in the number 4 with no drink. I say okay, and put in his full order. Now, our registers have us enter in each item individually and automatically apply meal discounts when they're available. In order to give him the meal discount, I have to charge him for a medium no drink. He got his discount, and his total went up almost a full $1. Background. I'm in the UK, driving laws are different around the world. I was driving along a road with double solid white lines, it means no overtaking. The speed limit on this stretch of road is 50 miles per hour. However, the law states drive to the conditions. MC. It was an autumn evening, already dark by 6 p.m., there was heavy rain plus spray from oncoming vehicles, visibility at best was poor, driving to the conditions I was doing 40 miles per hour, still too fast. I had a car riding my bumper, had his lights on high beam, that blinded me, I couldn't see where I was going. So to make a friendly point I turned my lights off and back on again. Sadly didn't get the message, so I slowed down gradually from 40 miles per hour to 5 miles per hour. Yes, technically I didn't have to drive that slow, 20 miles per hour should have been fine, they were trying to bully me into letting them get past. When we hit dual carriageway they overtook, so I caught up with them and gave them a taste of their own medicine on a faster road, 70 miles per hour. Blinded not only by the beam coming off of my mirror, also reflecting on the surface water. This is from the early 80s, 2 really short stories from the days of digital VAX/VMS systems. First, we had a support call from a user asking who Fat Al was and why did he keep saying error. He was a Texan working in Australia. What the? After some discussion we eventually decoded what he was talking about. He was referring to a fatal error message on his terminal. Facepalm. /. Secondly, another user was complaining that his program was taking too long to run. In fact, it took around 24 hours to process a stack of data crunching in Fortran. So after working with the user we did some work on his code, and managed to get the runtime down to around 12 hours. Pretty good work. But he was still unhappy. We thought about his problem, and were considering coding keys parts in assembler, macro 32, but thought we needed to discuss his problem in more detail. After all, we have already doubled his performance. It turns out that he just wanted to be able to use his terminal for other work and not wait for the processing to complete. How long it took was not important. So showing him how to create a DCL script, and the submit command solved the problem. Even better, we could run this computation at a low CPU priority, which was a bonus. Moral of the story: really understand your user's needs, requirements, before doing anything. About 10 years ago I went out for lunch. I live in Canada, and at the time I worked as a server in Toronto, so I always had lots of US currency. I paid the bill with a credit card but gave American cash for the tip. It amounted to about 20% of the bill even before accounting for the exchange rate. The server chased us out into the parking lot holding the cash and told me they wouldn't accept American currency, and that I'd have to give them Canadian money. So I apologized, took the money back, and left. Disclaimer for the record: normally I would happily exchange Canadian money for American dollars if someone cared that much, American dollars being worth much more anyways. My work experience in bars and restaurants has also ingrained in me the importance of tipping. In this instance the server had been quite snooty and rude, and, however petty it might have been, there was a certain gratification in walking away while they still had their hand out. Living in a smaller town, I mostly go to Walmart to do all my shopping. A couple years ago their uniforms were actually just navy blue shirts and khaki pants. That was also the uniform I wore for my job. Long story short, got done working and stopped at Walmart before I went home. A woman stopped me and asked me if I knew where an item was. I actually knew, so I took her to it. Chatted a little bit and asked my name so she could let someone know how helpful and friendly I was. "I don't work here," she tried to apologize, but I wouldn't let her. I don't mind helping people, even if I don't work there. I work at a small-town coffee shop that has managed to adapt and stay busy during COVID-19 by utilizing a window for walk-up service. A regular problematic customer, let's call him TJ, is a typical middle-aged man riddled with toxic masculinity. He often makes female employees and customers uncomfortable with his comments. Lately he's been around a lot, being typical TJ. Today he came to our window and ordered a coffee. Cool, nothing out of the ordinary. A co-worker asked him if he would like to tip via our Square register. We normally don't verbally ask customers, but with the current pandemic we are not allowing customers to touch our iPad system. He proceeded to tell her to put 100, and reassured them he wanted to tip that much because he appreciates our hard work and effort and wants to chip in since our business has been a bit slower. Okay, I gave him that and almost have a change of heart about DJ. We both outwardly thank him and he goes on his way. I text my boss about this uncharacteristic interaction with TJ, and through their end of the register system she was able to look at the transaction. They noticed that not only was the credit card he used not in his name, but in his boss's name, on their company card. Typical TJ. What a D-bag. Some years ago I opened an electronics store. Needless to say my first location was less than pleasant, got many more to tell less than pleasant experiences. My store was buy-sell trade. That location was much more interested as a whole in the second part. Except for some reason, even though it is law to have some sort of attached identification, what I mean is some way to identify who brought the item in case of stolen goods in my state, a lot of the locals just couldn't understand the fact they need a non-expired ID to sell. One day a car parks in front of the store. It has 3 people. One of the people in the car comes in with stuff he wants to sell. We do more in-store credit, don't remember the ratio back then, than cash, but he chose cash. I told him we could do $5, don't remember what it was since it was a while ago. No one brought an ID despite the fact they came in on a car. They leave upset. The gentleman then came with an ID that was his but it was expired. He then argued with us on how we didn't need an ID. Eventually he just came back with an old lady with very limited mobility. She presented her ID, I informed her that if there were any claims on any of the items she would be responsible if she chooses to use her ID. She hesitated for a second but after a while agreed. I gave her the $5 and she gave it to him, and then he started saying out loud, "Man, all this work for $5. I was thinking, dude, do you not see how that statement could be flipped back to you? I didn't say anything, of course. Okay, I may have posted this ages ago, but I can't remember and I thought about this the other day. So I thought I'd share it, possibly again. Cast me am, angry moron. I was working phone customer service for an energy retailer in Australia who was known for having computer issues at the time. Anyone who's worked there or dealt with them will probably know who I'm talking about. I was a couple of hours into my shift and I'd already had my share of winners call up when AM called up. ME, good afternoon, you're speaking with Kekamu, how can I help you? AM, I have a effing bill here from your effing company and it's too effing much. I want you to fix that RFN. I'll add at this point that consultants were not permitted to terminate calls, only a manager could no matter the abuse we were copying. That though, leads into stores for another time. ME, no problem sir, can I please have your account number and I'll see if I can help. AM, I don't have a ing account number. I don't have the bill in front of me. Look it up by my name. So the guy gives me his name. Can't find an account. I try phone number, address, everything. I managed to find an account, but it had closed 3 years prior. ME, sir, I cannot find a current account, the only account in your name is one that closed 3 years ago. AM, you're a complete effing idiot. I have a bill from your effing company you stupid C. Find my account now. Fix this bill right. By this point, I'm getting flustered. There is no account. Or there are incorrect details. Either way, I can't help this guy with his account or his severe anger issues. So I, in a last-ditch bid to help this cretin, decide to try something else. ME, I do apologize that you're having these issues, but I simply cannot find an account other than the one that you closed 3 years ago. I've tried every method available to me to find it. If you want my assistance, I will need you to get me an account number. AM, you stupid fuck INGC. How fuck ing stupid can you be if you can't find my account? Ray. Fine, I'll go find the bill. I can't believe I'm dealing with someone so effing stupid. So AM gets off the phone and I hear papers rustling and some muttered profanity. This goes on for a few minutes then it goes quiet. AM, OF, it's a answer totally different electricity company's name bill. Click. I was left gobsmacked and feeling pity for the next person who had to deal with him. Did have a good laugh about it later though. Obligatory not today but when I was a kid. My older brother has always been pretty quiet and keeps to himself. He's also been the interest of many girls throughout his life and typically would let them down easy but quickly. He was as kind could be and humble. So he's on a baseball team, he was about 15, and 2 girls are watching him from the stands. He wasn't a great player but I guess they thought he was cute. After the game he came up to me and we were talking. These girls approached and asked for his phone number so they could text him. He was trying to be nice by telling them he didn't have a cell phone. I was standing there not understanding this situation thinking maybe he forgot he'd just gotten a cell phone. Fancy flip phone back in the day, so I happily and loudly announce. Yes you do, it's in the dugout. Happy cheery proud face, thinking I am such a good sister. Helping my brother out, getting girls. I'm just the best. Cue my brother looking shocked and embarrassed and the girls looking very offended as he apologized and said he never uses it due to the charges on messages. The girls tried to smile but walked away and my brother was very upset with me. TL doctor, my brother tried to be gracious in letting down nice girls, but I outed him embarrassing him and offending the girls. This is the first time this happened to me and it's not a long story but it was rude and since I keep thinking about the interaction, I figured I'd share it. I have 2 cats who received their first cat tree for Christmas and loved it to death. My BF and I threw it out so the next day I decided to go to PetSmart to get them another one. I brought my 7-year-old son with me to the store. It was just the 2 of us. When my son and I get out of our car, we see a late middle-aged couple getting out of their car with 2 dogs. My son and I walk by them and compliment their dogs walking into the store with them. Side note, everyone is wearing PetSmart shirts and khakis and I have a tank top on, jeans, sunglasses on my head, and I'm holding my keys. Oh yeah, I have my son almost attached to my hip also throughout the store. We find the cat tree I want to buy but it's too big to place in a cart, so I decided to awkwardly carrying it to the register with my son jumping along at my side. On the way to the register, my son and I walk past the older couple we walked into the store with. I'm clearly struggling with this cat tree and trying not to step on my child, who keeps jumping up and down in front of me and the older man stops me abruptly and annoyed. He looks at me and said, "Where are we supposed to go for grooming? We've been waiting and no one has come to help us." I said, "Sir, I'm sorry, I don't know, I do not work here." He keeps walking away and once he's directly behind me, turns and says with such a snarky tone, "Sure looks like you do, doesn't it?" Then him and his wife glare at me and make their way to the back of the store. First time posting, currently a EMS dispatcher for a private ambulance company for 3 years now. We take some calls, however, they're usually seizures, psych, and falls. This one? Probably should have been psych, but unfortunately she wasn't the patient. This call happened in my first year, while I was pretty fresh and didn't understand the power of controlling a call. And #X200B. Me, okay, tell me exactly what happened. CLR, yeah, my mom fell in the other room, you know we have her locked in there right now, but yeah she fell and I think she may have hit her head. Me, okay, are you with her now? CLR, well, you see, she has dementia, and we live in a new home, so she is locked in there. You see, we can't have her wandering because of the bears that are around here. Me, have you gone to check on her yet? CLR, no, I can't unlock her door because she will get out and the bears will get her. Me, can you please go check on the patient? CLR, yeah, I think she might have hit her head, it sounded like she hit the end table, that's what woke me up, but even our big dog, insert large dog brand, is afraid to go outside because there are bears here at this new house. Please send the ambulance but make sure they get in and out quick because the bears will get them. Rinse and repeat for literally every one of the 10 questions involved with a fall. I was essentially working with a third-party caller as she flat out refused to unlock her mother from the room until the EMTs got there, let alone even go look at her. And #X200B. I kid you not, I heard way more about these bears than I ever got out of her regarding her fallen mother. While I may have wanted to bash my head into the desk repeatedly asking her the questions, now I can have a good belly laugh over it. From what I do remember though, Mom was transported alright, and no EMTs were mauled by the darn bears. Obligatory. This was about 1.5 years ago. So, just under 2 years ago me and my friend decided we wanted to get our nipples pierced. We were obviously incredibly nervous about it but also quite excited, and I did as much research about it as possible by asking friends who had had it done before and taking their advice. Now, all my mutual friends who'd had it done got their piercings at tattoo shops, and said it was absolutely fine. You get there, they make you super comfortable, numb your nipples, then pierce them. No pain until maybe a little soreness the next day and you bathe them in the evening and that's it. So okay, cool. Me and my friend are 17 at the time, so we're a little stressed about using our fake IDs for it, but we decide to go for it. It comes to the morning to go and I ring my friend. She's changed her mind. She says she's not so sure about the whole thing anymore, so I say if you're not sure, you shouldn't do it. I have a little panic but decide to go through with it just to prove something to myself. With what my friends told me, the numbing cream helps a lot, so days prior I bought some, and on the morning about an hour before going I doused cotton wool pads with the numbing cream and cello taped them to my nipples. On the bus, I realized I really did not want to take my bra off at the place and have cotton wool handily cello taped to my nipples, so I awkwardly peeled them off on the bus. I think a child saw me but we move. So I finally get there, and the shop is a walk-in place. They tell me it's an hour and 45 minutes wait. Fantastic. I stick around for the wait and finally get in. By this time, the numbing cream has totally worn off and my nipples are a dark pink because they're full of blood and extremely sensitive. This is what happens when numbing cream wears off. The place that I went to didn't numb my nipples at all. And I am far too awkward to question anything. So it comes around to doing it and I just cannot even describe the pain. I'm tensing up thinking about it. The first one, I thought this is the worst pain I've ever been in. I went extremely dizzy and felt blood pour down my side and fully tested up. And for the second, that was the worst pain I've ever been in. I went completely deaf and my vision was fuzzy. Blood down my chest again, and the lady doing it was wiping me down for a good few minutes, I think. Until the blood flow slowed a little and she put a plaster on. After I got up dizzily I was talking absolute gibberish and they for some reason just let me go straight away. I got on the bus crying and promptly passed out on the bus home. The light in this was that it was a match day and I woke up right before my stop, meaning I was out for about an hour and 15. I was in a lot of pain for a couple of days. TLDR, numbed my nipples before getting them pierced and it wore off before I got them done, meaning extremely sensitive and bloody nipples and the worst pain of my life. This wasn't today, it was about a week ago. Anyways, I work at a fast food restaurant and we don't usually get tips, but ever since this whole lockdown thing has been going on we've been getting a lot of tips and our work decided to put out a tip jar. The thing about our tip jar is that we actually don't get any of it. The owner justifies it by buying a 12-pack of cookies once every few days. But we get about 150 in tips every day. They also say we can keep the tips if we work at $5 an hour instead of what we're normally paid. So it's complete BS, so sometimes if it's like $1 I'll just pocket the money. I told my coworker, who had just started, this, but I didn't tell him that he shouldn't keep anything over like 3, and I didn't tell him that he shouldn't keep every tip he gets. So one day he gets like a 10 tip and puts it in his pocket. The owner was there that day and he's super cheap, like he won't turn on the air conditioning so it's 80 degrees plus all day cheap. He sees him and gets super mad at him and tells him to put it in the tip jar, and he does. But then tonight I was at work tonight and we were talking about all the people who got fired and his name came up and I didn't know he got fired. Apparently the owner went through the security cameras and saw the times he took the tips and then fired him. DL, doctor, I told my co-work that he should just keep the tips that he got, but the owner found out and fired him. Obligatory. This didn't happen today. It happened some 5 years ago when I was new to the world of sales and had moved to a different city to take up the job. As a female in a new city who needed to get around in public transport to do her job, I got myself a pepper spray can. This one was a small can that I kept in one of the bottle holders in my laptop bag because it needs to be easily accessible. So per usual, I was boarding a bus from a central bus station in the city. Usually the bus is nearly empty till 5 minutes before its boarding time. Being tired already, I boarded and sat in my preferred window seat in the middle of the bus. I was putting back my water bottle when I accidentally pressed the pepper spray can open and sprayed all over. Mainly the ceiling and a few seats ahead of me. It took a few seconds for me to realize that it was the pepper spray and to lock it back up. Luckily no one was in the bus, it wasn't an AC bus and there was another 15 minutes for the bus to start. I was coughing but having some water helped. I wiped down the handle and seats as well as I could and settled back in. 10 minutes later, people start boarding and slowly it starts getting crowded. There's no place to sit so people are holding onto the seat and ceiling handles. Lo and behold, it starts. Sneezing, coughing, itching, burning. People running all around trying to get water and not understanding what had happened. Needless to say I sunk further into my seat and waited it out. The bus was delayed by another 10 minutes and I have been immensely careful with pepper spray ever since. DL, doctor, pepper sprayed an empty bus and caused chaos for some unsuspecting public commuters. So first off, I am happy that we are open again because it means that the hotel gets to make money again and offer the services we used to. However, at the same time I feel very annoyed at the tourist guests who came right as the restrictions ended. Here in Germany national tourism was allowed again as of the 30th of May. And as soon as that day hit we had a lot more guests again. Our hotel opened again on the 15th of May to business guests. The part that annoys me is that Corona is still a big thing, and th numbers are spiking again, so why can't people just stay home a bit more and not go traveling as soon as the restrictions end? I am tired of having to remind guests to wear their masks in the lobby and hallways and get "yes we know" as an answer. If you know, wear it. I guess it may be irrational but that's just my state of mind currently. And #X200B. Rant over? I had this awesome science teacher in middle school. Some people thought that she was kinda strict, and to be fair she kinda was, but only with the kids who slacked off. I was also in her advisory, and most of the other people in her advisory kinda sucked. She didn't like them very much. Every year in late April, she would take her advisory on a field trip to this farm to help out with a native plant sale. However, in 8th grade, it went a bit different. She pulled me aside. "Teacher, so, I was thinking, instead of taking the advisory on the field trip this year, I could take you and your friends." I was a little surprised, but it made sense because me and my friends were the people that always did their work and got A's in her class. Me, sure, that sounds great. So we go on this field trip and it's pretty fun. It's on a farm, so we got to see some cute animals. On the drive back, the following conversation transpired. OP equals me, NT equals nice teacher, F1 equals friend 1, F2 equals friend 2, MC equals my crush, HC equals her crush, F2, RB equals other boy. F1, so, NT, do you ship students? NT : well yeah I do. F1, is that what you guys talk about in the teacher lounge? NT, sometimes. F1, well who do you ship? NT, I think F2 would be good with MC. OP, what about me? NT, HC is really nice. I think you'd be good with him. F2 and I exchanged looks like she's got this flip-flopped. When we got back to school, we had a fire drill, and NT was walking alongside the line to make sure everyone was out of the building, when she walked over to F2 and I. NT, you should also consider OB. You think I'm looking at your class to see if they're all here? I'm scouting which guys are good for you. I miss being in her class every day. I have a house that I couldn't sell, and is being rented out. I charged the guy less than the house payment, but because of taxes and insurance the monthly loss keeps growing. I have a home warranty on the property, and he said he would take over the payments on it so I'm not losing as much. I called the home warranty company, and asked to cancel and let him set up a home warranty. They said we should just transfer it to the renter. I said okay, and they took all his information. I asked if it was going to update the login information on the website to his email address, and they said yes. After getting off the phone, I was still able to log in. I could see they updated all the information, but I still had access. I called back in, and said that I just wanted to cancel the warranty and let him call in to set up his own warranty. They said they couldn't do that, because I wasn't on the warranty. I explained that I was the one whose name was originally on the contract, and I just called in, but I still have access to his account online. They said, well, just don't log in. I explained that was a security problem, and that they wouldn't want someone logging into their accounts online, and they agreed and called a manager. After 10 minutes they came back with the answer, "Sir, we would just ask you to please not log into the other person's account anymore." What? So that's your approach to cybersecurity? You say please? Bartender at a local pizza joint. My buddy came in after a long day dealing with his 2 sick little girls. He tells me a story from today about the littlest. She's screaming for him from the bathroom. She states she's been waiting for 60 years for him. All she wanted was a cheese pizza from our place. Since they were sick he went with something more appropriate for upset stomachs. But you can guarantee I got him a gift certificate for a cheese pizza for her when she's better. Nice to have good customers to even out the bad ones lol. Before I start, I wanted to tell you that I wrote this story with an automatic translator. I'm French, so there will surely be mistakes. I also wanted to say that this story is true and that these events are not invented. I am the last of my family. I have 2 sisters and a brother. When I was born, our apartment had become too small. There were 6 of us. 4 months after I was born, my parents found an apartment with the same rent but bigger. The only problem was that the building was in a rather poorly attended area. When we arrived, we met a neighbor whom I will call Virginia to respect her privacy, and who was very welcoming and warm, like most of our neighbors. But less than a week after we arrived in the apartment we met our next-door neighbor. She was an old lady who was very dirty and poorly dressed. We didn't know her names. To reassure us we called her Mean Puri, Dirty Grandmother. She was really crazy and she stayed our neighbor for more than 4 years before she went to a psychiatric care home. She was screaming down the stairs, she was covering our door with flour, she was feeding the rats that ended up invading the walls of our floor. After these 4 particular years and her departure, my mother told me what she found. I was too young to go. The apartment was the largest of the building. She had not cleaned and opened the window for a long time. The whole house felt musty. And entering a back room you could get a dead body smell, because there was a small pile of dead rats. In his business there was no weird thing but just his poor cat in a small cage. This story happened 11 years ago and I have not moved. Dirty Grandmother is now a joke even if I admit that she traumatized us all. I don't know if she's still alive, well she's become, but I consider her to be a thing of the past. I hope my story was interesting and that you enjoyed it. I worked in housekeeping in a hotel for months up until this past week. I'm now 35 weeks pregnant. I was scheduled to work 5+ days a week, with 20+ rooms to myself. I came into work recently, because I was on the schedule, and I could barely walk. I couldn't bend my back and my ankles were hugely swollen. I had been in L&D the night before to stop contractions. We didn't have many rooms, but 5 housekeepers in-house. Everyone was almost begging my manager to send me home, as we had too many housekeepers for the amount of rooms. Now, I'm huge at this point in pregnancy. I can't bend too far forward in general. My manager and I, discussed a couple weeks ago that she didn't want me cleaning bathtubs, so I was to have another housekeeper come clean my bathtubs. No biggie, I was fine with that. Well, the day before I quit I had went to find another HK to help with a bathtub. Said manager stopped us in the hall and asked what we were doing socializing on the clock. We explained that she was going to clean a bathtub for me and would go right back to her rooms. She yelled at me and said that if I can't do my job, I need to quit so that she can hire someone who's willing to work. I explained that it wasn't that I wasn't willing to work, rather that's one small task that I myself struggle with accomplishing. She didn't care. She continued yelling at me. Now, I've always hated being yelled at, So I spent the rest of my shift crying while cleaning my rooms. I got home from work, still crying. My boyfriend became extremely upset as I told him what had happened. We decided that it's in the best interest of our child that I just be done, as it's a lot of emotional trouble as well as physical. So I gave my manager her wish, and I went in and handed in my scrubs and quit. She seemed sympathetic, said she understood, was sad to see me go, and for me to come talk to her after I was released from maternity leave. Fast forward to today, another HK at said hotel was talking to this manager, while recording the conversation to send to me. She asked if I would be back after baby. The manager told her that I was lazy and a crybaby so she would never consider hiring me back. I'm glad I quit. I feel like I dodged a bullet. I'm not sure that I'll ever be able to convince myself to work in housekeeping again. Context: I worked at a hospital in food service for 3 years after my mental health was nearly scrambled. And these are only a few of the stories that I found funny and the most frustrating. The cast hospital employee, he, me/op, coworker, CW, boss, BS. 1. I was taking out the trash with a coworker and when I emptied out my trash can I saw a bunch of gross bin water. She told me to use the hose on the wall next to us. Now, this was like a gardening hose but confusing. I turned on the faucet and tried to spray the water in the bin. I ended up spraying myself in the face. 2. I was cleaning the cafe with another coworker. We have an unsaid rule that 10 minutes after we close you can still grab some food but not from the grill. Once those 10 minutes are up we're close. I was cleaning the salad bar while my coworker was cleaning the hotline when we got a knock. Me opens the door / can I? He, hi. I know you're closed and I'm sorry but can I have some fries? We were past our 10-minute mark. Me, sorry but we just threw our fries out and the fryer is turned off. He, please. I'm hungry. Our hospital was just 5 minutes drive away from a deli. Me, sorry miss, once we're close, we're closed. 15 minutes pass and I walk back into the cafe. BS, op, did you deny he some fries? Me, confused and looks in the cafe / he, walking out the cafe with a basket of fries / me, thinking to myself / JFC I just want to quit. I wanted to go to college but no my parents forced me to get this godforsaken job. Me, yeah. My boss then proceeds to lecture me on how I need to work on customer satisfaction. Me, thinking again / idiot all you do is stay in your office all day and only come out to get some food. My boss leaves. CW, yeah, he came back to tattle. Me. Dial-up sounds in my head / all because she didn't get any fries? This happened a few hours ago, at dinner time. My daughter, 7, niece, 7, and nephew, 5, all decided to go for a swim while we were waiting for pizza. Our dog Luna was watching them and whining at the door, so we let her out on the pool deck with us to watch them play. Pizza gets to the house, my husband brings out 3 pieces for the kids, and goes back inside to eat. The kids get out of the pool, sit down to eat their pizza, and I run in the house to grab some towels for them. Luna is off messing with the lizards on the screen door. I get to talking with my husband, and a few minutes later my niece and nephew bring their empty plates in, saying that they are done eating. My daughter got distracted and is back in the pool, so I go back outside to tell her to get out and eat. However, her pizza is gone, though my niece and nephew said she wasn't done eating. Around the corner, I see Luna laying belly up, fat and sassy and very pleased with herself. She had eaten all 3 pieces of pizza, and the kids passed it off like they had done a great job eating all their dinner. DL, doctor, my dog is a fat shoot and my kids lie about their pizza eating abilities. I just had a very tame I don't work here situation today. My mom and I were shopping at our local grocery store. She had just picked me up from my job at a local nursing home, so I'm wearing my work uniform, which consists of black shoes, nice black pants, and a black smock. Mom was looking at Hamburg, and I was looking at various lunch meats, trying to decide if I wanted any. I decided that I didn't need any, so I turn around to let Mom know that I was going to get the few items on my shopping list. As I turn around, a lady walks up to me and asks if I work there. I politely say I don't. She walks off. Guess she thought my server uniform looked similar to the deli uniform that they wear at this particular store? Very tame compared to most of these stories. So I recently, last month, moved to LA County where riots and looting are currently taking place. When I moved in, I placed my handgun in my nightstand and my shotgun on my closet shelf for easy access. However, I forgot I loaded the shotgun, so all I had to do was rack it and go. Last night, with rioting and looting getting nearer, I grabbed my shotgun to put near my bed. I racked it because that's what most people instinctively do when grabbing a shotgun. For whatever stupid reason, I decided to dry fire the gun, forgetting I loaded it a month ago. I blew a hole through the top of my bathroom door jamb, sending plaster and wood all over. My apartment filled with gun smoke, and I'm still having a hard time hearing. I thought for sure the police would be called. I guess they were busy elsewhere. I cleaned up the mess, but my shame remains. As does the hole in the wall. I was very lucky the hole wasn't in me. DL, doctor, I forgot my shotgun was loaded and blew a hole through my door jamb. I am 14. I am a certified referee in my state. I know the rules as I've played by them my whole life, along with taking the officiating classes. At our park district, no headers for ages below 11. But in U12, it is up to the referee's discretion. So if it's a small tap, it's okay. That is exactly what happens. So the coach behind me screams at the top of his lungs there are no headers in U12 5 to 16 times. I ignore him. Though I could eject him. It was last game of the season and I didn't care. After a bit of yelling, he says fine, go duck yourself then, which I turn and tell at him for saying in front of U11 kids. I wish I sent him away or ended the match. Sadly, I didn't do much, and my partner is a longtime referee, officiated my matches as I grew up, and he is deaf. So he has no idea what happened. The person who runs park district in my area has been informed and is taking action. So my Monday happens to be Saturday night. I'm in Na, and I rolled in a few minutes late to second shift, a new hire, asking me to call security about room 210 while she's on the phone fielding another guest complaint and checking someone in. I call security, one of my favorite people, and Hess on the way to the hotel when we hear a bap 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 noise. I've heard all sorts of gunshots, so I know it's not a real gun. I step out front to see a young guy crouched by the wall with a paintball gun shooting at cars. I grab my phone and dial the sheriff. Second shift yells at him and he takes off back towards the hotel, and another paintball gun wielding guy follows after from a median in our parking lot. Apparently they shot cars and people from the balcony, and as they were running, security is up there getting into it with some chick, ends up being girlfriend, and sheriff is on scene in a few minutes after. We ended up having 7 kids arrested, a huge bag of weed found, and bottles of Hennessy all over, even though none of them were 21. After it all settled down, I had to call the VA crisis line because we have a lot of vets who are in a mental health group home place staying with us and having problems now due to the gunshot sounds and the yelling. They sent a caseworker lady over and used our conference room for an emergency group therapy thing. I ended up charging the paintball guy for damages and it went through surprisingly enough, but then I discovered he was put on the DNR list the day before and the new hire didn't put in his address, so it didn't come up, a regular problem with second shift no matter who works. If she did, we wouldn't have had such a crisis. DL, Dr. Dumb kids who shouldn't have been in the hotel played paintball in the parking lot. Triggered poor vets and gave most of the cars a new paint job. Okay, so I've shared stories about people mistaking me for a priest, but the second most common incident is being mistaken for a professor. Here's one of the funniest incidents. And #X200B. So this happened back in my second year in university. We all could sign up for a locker and I was one of the lucky ones who was able to get one for myself. I lived off campus. Now believe in dressing up well, so I often came dressed in a button-down long-sleeve shirt with the sleeves rolled up to my elbows, while I often wear dark jeans and loafers. And #X200B. One time I was fixing up my locker. This was around 3 p.m. so classes were just getting out. As I was fixing my locker, I heard 2 girls, freshmen from the looks of it, talking behind me, and one of them said I didn't know profs could have lockers. Stunned, I stopped what I was doing, and turned back to tell them I wasn't a professor. Unfortunately, turning back must have scared them, and by the time I turned back, they were running off already. I wanted to call out to them, but I didn't want to add to the noise in the hall. And #X200B. So yeah, no fallout or whatever, but just wanted to share. If you guys liked this, I can share more stories. So I'm trying to move out of my apartment and had a listing online. The person messaged me and told me they're in front of some store, right next to one of the building entrances, so I went up to the only person there and asked if their name was what the person told me online. I think the person didn't know much English, so he just said yes. So I took him inside and started to show the building complex to him and took him to my unit for a viewing. Showed him what's included and everything, and then he says that I'm mistaken and he was there for an interview at the store. And NBSP. Took him back to the elevator. And NBSP. Messaged the person who wanted to view again to ask them where they are. They say in front of the store entrance again, so I ask what they're wearing and she says she's wearing a red jacket. And NBSP. She was at the other entrance, store has 2 entrances. And NBSP. DL, doctor, made a guy miss a job interview by showing him my apartment. And NBSP. Edit, don't worry, I am wearing a mask and trying to make sure to continue social distancing. I don't work in customer service, but my line is a popular one for people trying to reach my company. It's a contact point between contracted business partners and our employees. I've been getting calls from people who can't figure out our customer service number. A very simple, 2-menu system. This is how it goes. Thank you for calling, company/customer service. Please select from the following choices. Press 2 for online orders. Press 3 for order shipping. Press 4 for any other customer service questions. Options 2 and 3 send the caller directly to a person. Option 4 has another menu. Press 1 if you have a customer service case number. Options 2 to 8 are for specific products. Press 9 for any other questions. All of these send the caller directly to a person. Simple, right? A really popular complaint is that the machine is putting me in circles, get me a person. I'll ask what options the caller selected to see if I can send them to the right people. They'll explain that they didn't select any options because they were waiting for someone to pick up the phone. The machine going in circles was the main menu repeating itself. Or when they only listened to one prompt. I don't have a case number, but the phone doesn't give me any other options. Yes, it does. When you call me, I call customer service and select from the same menu you do. There are also the idiots who don't bother calling customer service at all. They'll call me up saying they need help with X product. I'll tell them that for future calls, they need to call the customer service line, select 4 and then whatever number correlates with their product. They tell me that they called customer service, but there is no option for their product. Lies. I also get complaints that the customer service line is broken. I ask how, and the person says that they were put on hold, so that means no one is there and I have to help them with their problems. I can't, I don't have the clearance. It's just people not wanting to wait their turn in line. The best is when a person gets told no by customer service, and they call me thinking I can get the person fired or I have the authority to override decisions. They'll throw tantrums left and right, threaten me and or the company, but all I'm allowed to do is put them back to customer service where they can lodge a formal complaint about the agent who assisted them. Normally, the number of phone calls that reach me in error is much lower. But since the pandemic, in-error phone traffic has exploded. I checked with IT, but it isn't a tech problem or mix-up with the numbers or anything. It's people who would normally never call my line deciding to. It's so frustrating. I can't wait until the pandemic is over so people can go back to work and stop blowing up my phone line. My cat has a very specific dietary requirement. The only food that she can have is rabbit, shipped, frozen, from the southern US. I placed an order on Memorial Day. Well, it was out for delivery on Saturday. It should have come Friday, but COVID has delayed a lot of things, and never came. Thankfully, the carrier updated the tracking to let me know there was an exception, but that meant it would sit in a warehouse until Monday. I was pretty sure it wasn't going to be any good when it showed up. Monday it did not arrive. After dinner, I checked the tracking, and it said the same thing, delivery exception, no attempt made, delivery scheduled for next business day. I called the seller and they said it is out of their control. They did what they were supposed to do. Shipping on Wednesday, for the package to arrive, still frozen, on Friday. They said it is not their responsibility to replace it. Today, the tracking says it is scheduled for today, but has not been loaded on a truck, and is not out for delivery. I assume this is related to the local protesters, who have blocked some of the major highways in and out of my city. I do not know what I am going to do with 25 pounds of rotting rabbit, and am out a couple $100. I am pretty sure this is not the fault of the delivery company, so I doubt they will reimburse me. This happened probably about 10 years ago, I must have been 10 to 12. Me and my friends were avid cricket fans and that's what we usually played in the evening. The park that we played in was surrounded by shallow gutters which usually used to be filled with dry leaves and twigs. During non-monsoon seasons, we would very frequently lose our cricket balls in these gutters which would halt our play. Me and one of my friend, let's call him X, had observed our neighbors burning such gutters and even some garbage occasionally and thought we should do this as well so as to clear the gutters and avoid losing our balls in them. Me and X then decided to burn one such gutter present in front of his house. We copied the elders, took some paper and matchsticks and set the gutter on fire, without any adult supervision. We didn't anticipate how big the fire would grow and could see it growing by the minute. Now X's neighbor was our school's principal and the gutter spanned till the front of his house as well. Fearing the fire, me and X called out his mother, who panicked and called for a fire truck and instructed us to try and extinguish the fire by pouring buckets of water. By this time the fire had started to engulf the plants in our principal's garden, which were bordering the gutter. While we were frantically trying to extinguish it, we noticed that our principal was just standing there in the garden watching his plants burn in a white vest and a towel wrapped around covering his lowers, offering zero help at all. After some time the fire truck arrived and extinguished the fire. With that he just walked back inside his house silently without saying a word. I still don't know to this day as to what he was thinking and why didn't he help us at all and decided to just watch us destroying his plants to ashes. Extra funny bit, during this incident my father was at work. And he worked in a department which would be informed of any incidents that happened in the township we lived in. Me being a kid and scared of a scolding decided not to tell my parents about this, but as soon as I reach back home, I get a call from my father asking me, "Did you just set a giant fire?" And well, it's obvious as to what would have happened next. DL, Doctor, me and my friend burned the leaves in the gutter wherein we frequently used to lose our cricket balls. Fire spread to principal's garden immediately and he just stood and watched, offering no help at all. This happened when I was 11, but the story is so good I have to share it. So I was simply playing out with my friends. Then we decided to head inside to play some Xbox. I saw my mom drinking that adult drink, coffee. I wanted to look like a big boy. My mom had bought a bunch of latte. We had like a milk carton full of ready-made latte. So I had a sip of that latte. Okay. It tastes like a bad version of cocoa, but I will look like a big boy if drink it. So I drink almost the entire carton. Then we play some Xbox. About 15 minutes later I was hit with the worst stomach pain of my life. I literally had to crawl up on the ground and shout. It felt like my intestines were being ripped out. And this lasted an hour. I remember getting sweaty as flip and feeling like I was gonna die. My mom was thinking should she call an ambulance, but decided that if I don't vomit or pass out, I'll be fine. Maybe she thought that the latte had something to do with it? After the pain went away, I decided, I'll never drink big boy drinks again. Well, 5 years later, I started coffee full-time, no side effects. It still baffles me to this day what caused this extreme reaction. My body couldn't handle this new substance full of caffeine? I don't know. I drank like 0.5 liters of it, for the first time in my life. DL, Doctor, drank a bunch of latte for the first time in my life at 11 years of age, then I was hit by the worst stomach pain in my life. And said, latte. Never again. Not me, but witnessed my bar manager go through this. Customer, excuse me, I've been waiting ages and you served everyone except me. Bar manager, I'm sorry love, what do you want? C, I'm not your love. Stares. BM, I'm sorry, can I get you anything? C, I think it's awful how you ignore customers who have been waiting for so long. BM, I didn't realize you had been waiting so long, what can I get you? C, well, I think this is awful, 5 people must have come after me and been served. BM, I apologize again, I'll get you your drinks now, what would you like? C, for free? BM, sorry, I can't do them for free. C, why not? I've had to wait for so long, it's the least you can do. BM, I don't think it works like that, do you want any drinks or not? C, of course I do, why do you think I was waiting at the bar? But I don't think I should have to pay. BM, you can either buy a drink or stand away from the bar, I'm afraid, that's all we can offer. C, fine. But I don't want you to serve me. BM, why not? C, because you're incompetent, you don't know what you're doing. BM, well everyone else here didn't serve you fast enough either, what difference does it make who pours your drinks? C, well I've just said, anyone but you. Now get somebody else. BM, well, the other staff are busy mixing drinks, so you'll have to wait if you want them. C, are you kidding? Flip you. BM, flip me? I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Commence ranting and shouting followed by the bouncer escorting her out. Happened 2 days ago on Sunday. I am an idiot and I know what I did was incredibly stupid. But basically after going through a divorce a little less than a year ago, my time with my child has gone down, which normally happens especially to fathers. I still see her regularly and have visitation, and try to make the most of my time with her. So here is where the mess up happens. I have a full-size Nintendo Switch and bought her Animal Crossings for it. She liked it so much I let her take the console to her mother's and told her I would save and get her a Switch Lite, because I play my Switch regularly. I don't make a ton of money, so I saved up over the course of 6 weeks and got 150 saved up, OMW to 200 plus stacks for a new Switch Lite. I also would randomly check eBay and Craigslist to see if anyone had one for a little less money. So on Saturday night on my local Craigslist and there was one for 160. I inquire and wait for a response. The person messaged me back the next day and says they have it but aren't around their house for a few days but brought the console and could ship it. I knew it seemed fishy, and I'm not a technological moron and never would fall for blatant scams, such as the Nigerian prince one. Well, this person who posted it insisted they could next day it, but wanted to be paid via Cash App, and after sending me a timestamp pic with the console I then stupidly took the chance and gave them not my name but a P.O. box address I've used for years. They sent a tracking number and said when I Cash App them they'll then drop it off to be shipped. When I clicked the tracking number it said the shipping label was made but not shipped. Well, this is where I let my emotions take over, and because I wanted to make my daughter happy this week and surprise her when I pick her up, I did it. I borrowed the other 10 from my friend for the little I was short and then sent the payment. Then I waited. They said it'll show up in the system in 2 to 3 hours. I waited more. 5 hours later I asked what was going on. They didn't respond. I knew then I was scammed. A few more hours later and still no response, and I knew 100% then I lost out on my money. I sent them a message asking for the money back, requested it via Cash App, but got nothing. I looked into how to cancel a Cash App payment but knew I was probably Saul. It was stupid. I feel dumb. It's okay that you can call me dumb. I just wanted so much to make my daughter smile and be able to play Switch games with her while we both play on our consoles. So I'm out the money and have nothing to show for it. I knew better, and that's what angers me. I knew it was a stupid move. I'm really just upset my child has to wait even longer now. I guess at least I got it off my chest, because I've thought about it nonstop and am too embarrassed to tell anyone what happened. TLDR, made a stupid move when I knew better and got scammed on Craigslist and lost out on 160 with nothing to show for it.